Hello everyone, we're just having a conversation. We just came out of a Centre Ballet Let Youth Lead session, and we're having a really fascinating conversation about young people and HIV and how we need to be involved in implementing programs and policies. So Solomon, you were talking about how you felt.
Yeah, I was just basically saying that like we should try to get young people into influencing policymakers, like give them the platform to shine and to just basically mold the policies customized to their specific needs. It will also help with such organizations like Centre Ballet, because it will sort of like create a clearer path for them. Yeah, they will make more work on the ground because they'll be know that okay, we have like policies that actually facilitate for this kind of work.
Yeah. I guess, what does it look like to you in terms of the top? Does it look like UNAIDS maybe having like a youth board and, you know, they represent different regions and that way we can feed back things, or do you think it should be more on a local level? Like, what do you think?
I personally think that we should start on a local level, and then we start there on the ground, local level, and then that's when we can actually export everything else out to the world. Yeah. So, for example, I'll give you an example. Like back home, there is lack of specialized mental services. So, if you could maybe channel more our energy into hiring or training more specialized staff, this will also help make the job a bit quicker on the ground.
I agree with you there. What was one thing from the session that you feel surprised you, if anything?
Yes, I have.
Yeah.
You were saying?
Like, did anything from the session surprise you, or anyone else? Was there anything said?
I wasn't surprised. Someone raised up an issue of young people not knowing much about HIV in the UK. And I wanted to comment on that one, but then I didn't get much time to talk about my experience when I went to the UK on HIV and AIDS issues. And also, I think if we could include HIV issues in the school curriculum in the UK, so that all young people in the world can be able to understand more on HIV AIDS related issues, other than having people know about HIV just in Africa and not in other continents.
Yeah, Europe is actually one of the reasons where HIV is, on the rise. HIV infections on the rise, and I think the UK government, in some senses, have taken their eye off the ball. We have a strategy that expired in 2010. We've not had a strategy renewed since 2001. We really need to talk about what are we doing about HIV in the UK. Which I think is really important. But yeah, I totally agree in terms of education and how people feel. And obviously I live in the UK and I live openly with HIV in the UK, but that isn't the situation for a lot of young people in the UK. And I sometimes find it hard, and I feel a bit under pressure to think about how can I equip more of my peers to maybe feel that they can actually talk openly about it. And it's not for everybody, but how do we create an environment in which you can talk about HIV openly in the UK? I guess
it's about normalizing it, right? It's about just as much as it is with mental health as well, being able to normalize the conversation around HIV, because it is a virus. And it is a virus that you can live with now, which was very, very different, many years ago. And again, for the younger generation, of which the majority of the world is made up of people under the age of 30, then we have to put the power into the hands of the younger generation, because that's where the solutions are going to come from. That's where the passion and engagement is coming from as well. And you've got people, there is a generational gap. There's a generational gap in pretty much every problem that we have at the moment. But the younger generation not only have the solutions, but have the capability to be able to solve these problems in a much shorter period. So therefore, I think, getting back to your first point, I think it can't just be young people's advice or having a couple of people on the side of a platform. It has to be a part of policy change. And for the sake of those people that are making those decisions, why wouldn't you want people like this on your side, feeding you the right information so that you can get something first at the right time, rather than years down the line, trial by error. These you guys are the people that I would want on my team, to be able to explain to me what the root cause of the problem is on the ground. And as we discussed previously, it's different in every country and it's different on every continent. But in order to normalize it, those communities that have never had an HIV problem have to start talking about it.
Yeah.
It can't just be, oh, that's their problem, we don't have that problem. There's over 110,000 people within the UK that are HIV positive.
Yeah.
It's something which most people don't know. So you're right, in some places the numbers are rising, some places the numbers are decreasing. But
yeah, like you already mentioned, like we need to be really careful. Like some things might not work in other countries, they also might work. Like back home, for example, it like sex workers are not protected, and people who live with who are homosexuals, they are not protected. So if you don't protect such people, it also takes us a step back into fighting the HIV epidemic. So we're sort of like taking a step back.
So when you said something really interesting next door, not really interesting actually, it gave me goosebumps about the fact that you felt as though you just wanted people to be able to be content, happy with their own status, with whatever it is, whether it's HIV, whether it's something else.
Whether anything else. Like I just want a stigma-free world, like whereby everyone can just walk into access any kind of health services without actually the fear of being judged. Yeah, it doesn't necessarily have to be HIV, but yeah, we are here to discuss HIV. So like I said, the fact that you could just walk into any kind of health service and just get it without being judged will just actually be the ultimate goal.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. Having lived a lot of my life knowing that I had to keep my HIV a secret because it was brought with the knowledge that other people wouldn't accept it, and actually making the choice to say, no, okay, I'm HIV positive, but it's a virus that attacks my immune system, and that's literally what it is. It doesn't affect who I am, what I can do, and I'm so happy and content within myself, and I wish that was an opportunity that so many more young people had, because then we'd feel empowered, and then we'd be able to be on these big teams where we're needed and our advice is needed, and we would have the skills to be able to help world leaders and partner with them in order to tackle this issue. And my question to you is, obviously you're meeting with a lot of global leaders later. How are you going to challenge them to partner with youth in a way that is meaningful and in a way that will bring better results in the HIV response?
How am I going to challenge them? Look, at the end of the day, I think this is about solutions. This is about making them feel as though not just the solutions, but the workforce is there. It exists. It exists in the younger generation, and therefore, rather than sitting behind your desk, slaving away trying to come up with solutions and trying to put one model that fits everybody, which is simply impossible. With the amount of money that still exists out there, and the fact that HIV is now back on people's on the agenda as such, especially over this week, I think more and more people. Thank you for that. More and more leaders, they should be using the younger generation and the experiences that you have, because Christ, I'm 33 years old and I already feel out of touch. And I think the speed in which things are happening now, 200 years of development is happening in a space of 2 or 3 years, simply because of technology. And in certain parts of the world, the younger generation far outnumbers the older generation. So, in answer to your question, Mercy, my plan has always been the same. I will always use my position to try and give a platform to people like you guys, because I don't necessarily have the solutions. And I think together, you guys, to be able to empower you to know that not only do you have the solutions, but you're actually being listened to. And what I think was frustrated me in times gone by and years gone by is now there's a trend, there's a theme happening where young people are being listened to, but it's still very much a box ticking exercise. How about we actually make it permanent? This is policy change does not happen without the people that are going to end up inheriting this planet and inheriting their country and inheriting these problems as well. If you think about it, the last 30 years, that generation has worked so hard and done so much, with that ribbon, and so much work and effort, blood, sweat, and tears have been put into trying to solve this problem. And now we are facing another generation of complacency, where a lot of people think, well, it's solved, it's done. It's not. This is where it has to start. This is where you guys are going to take over and solve it. No pressure.
I think complacency is obviously something that is far bigger than any of us can afford in the HIV response, and that's why I love these AIDS conferences, in the sense that it kind of gives space for there to be a relay race of change. So young people can do their bit, older people can do their bit, and we can all share the experiences that we have and expertise and really build on that, because I think to create sustainable change, you need everybody in the room for it, and we're just not seeing that happen enough, but I think we will get there.
Yeah, also this kind of meetings actually fuels us up. Like right now I'm super motivated to go back home, actually do more work on the ground. So
when you said to me just before this started, you said that with Senator Barley's help, just in the last couple of months, being part of this movement and being able to have a voice has somewhat changed your life.
Oh yeah, it has actually, definitely. Like I've been meeting young people recently to actually educate them more on HIV. Most of them didn't actually even understand what the HIV really is. Like they actually thought it's just a super terrible disease. Like so we just try to help them understand that it's just more of like a syndrome that just opens you to other opportunistic infections. But with treatment these days, because we currently, our government has rolled out a Treat All campaign. Once you test out positive, they roll you out on the treatment. So with the treatment in place these days, they're trying to curb these opportunistic infections. So we're just basically trying to tell the young people back home that HIV is just more of like a syndrome. Yeah.
Great. And I think with that, we should go and empower more people and, you know.
Once again, on your left. Once again, on your left. Everybody here, please. I'm not surprised.
Good morning, everyone. This conference has a proud history. For more than 30 years, it has been a place where science, activism, government, and medicine have come together in the fight against the HIV and AIDS epidemic. These communities have come together to rise to the big challenges the fight has required. The smashing of the deadly stigma around the virus and calling out the prejudice that has fueled it. The heart-wrenching work to prioritise treatment and research. And the work to make the world's governments play their full role in tackling the epidemic. What we have learned is we succeed when we put people at the heart of our strategies. When we focus on the reality of the children born with the virus. When we respect the young woman at risk due to the behaviour of her partner. When we try to understand the perspective of the man who lacks access to information and testing. When we harness the huge potential of people living with HIV to help guide the delivery of services and the campaign against stigma. And when we create platforms for young people to shape and direct the services that they rely on. When we do all of this, we succeed in developing approaches that make a real and lasting difference. I am honoured to be sharing the stage with someone who has always put people at the centre of his work, Sir Elton John. For over a quarter of a century, Elton has worked tirelessly to fund research and services in communities around the world. And today, he has come to Amsterdam to announce his latest endeavour, a $1 billion global partnership to break the cycle of male transmission of HIV, particularly in sub-Saharan Africa. We stand here at a moment when the progress we have fought so hard for is at risk from a dangerous complacency. Too many around the world are still ignoring the damaging knock-on effect on education and other community services from not prioritising HIV prevention and treatment. This is a time when new, energetic and innovative solutions are needed more than ever before. And that is exactly what you're about to see from Elton and the Menstar Coalition partners. This initiative is focused on the tough but essential work of truly changing mindsets.
Inspired by the growing alarm at the rate of the new HIV infections among young women, this campaign is bravely tackling the root cause of this problem: the lack of awareness of HIV prevention amongst hard-to-reach young men. It will be guided by listening to and respecting the voices of the young men the Coalition is trying to reach. I would like to congratulate the Elton John AIDS Foundation on convening this impressive coalition with major financial backing. And I am a firm believer that we must work together across agencies, charities and industries to make change at scale. To formally announce the Menstar Coalition, it is my honour to introduce my friend, Sir Elton John.
I'd like to thank the Duke of Sussex for his very kind words, and
ladies and gentlemen, I'd like to now call up on the young activists that have been taking action to help us officially launch this great initiative. Young people, young activists, where are you? Yes. Give them a round of applause, ladies and gentlemen.
The conference organisers would like to thank all the speakers and co-chairs for their participation. The plenary session is now over. We wish you all an excellent day at the AIDS 2018 conference.
On the 24th of July 2018, here we see Prince Harry and Sir Elton John, prior to the speeches, preparing for the AIDS 2018 plenary session, where the Duke and Sir Elton launched the Menstar Coalition, which will expand the diagnosis and treatment of HIV infections in men, with the aim of ultimately ending the AIDS epidemic by 2030. Thank you for watching this video. If you have enjoyed it, then please give it a big old thumbs up. Don't forget to comment and share on social media. Also, hit that notification bell so that you know whenever I upload a new video. So, from me in Shropshire, goodbye.